Here we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good. Today we're diving into a debate that's, somewhat interesting because these guys are on the top end of fantasy football potential this season. JJ versus Ceedee Lamb. Justin Jefferson versus Ceedee Lamb. Who should be the top wide receiver picked this year in your fantasy drafts? It is very interesting simply because, JJ, we know he's the best wide receiver in the league, bar none, but team situation does dictate terms this season, which could amplify, why we could be picking a Ceedee Lamb ahead of him here in 2024. Simply put, we start talking about the statistics and where they sit today. 4 years, they came out of the same draft class, 4-year seasons. Both of them have been balling, y'all. 3 All-Pros for Justin Jefferson, 2 for a Ceedee Lamb, 3 Pro Bowls aside. And the interesting aspect, it's 395 to 392 in terms of receptions, leaning towards a Ceedee Lamb. And this is to be expected simply because of the injury to a JJ last year. Still got over 1,000 yards last year, which was very impressive, even though he missed a boatload of time. Yardage-wise, obviously, JJ 58.99 to 51.45. I mean, it's already a big, difference in yardage, like I said, and missed contest for a Justin Jefferson this past season. Definitely does showcase the fact this man eats yards like a madman. 31 TDs to 35 TDs in favor of a Ceedee Lamb. And so that's a very interesting aspect as well. You got to get JJ into the end zone a little bit more, even though he's been top wide receiver in the fantasy football, even though Ceedee Lamb was last year as well. So these two gentlemen are showcasing the ability to suggest that both of them are the elites in this NFL going into 2024. But like I said, team dynamic and situation definitely does dictate terms. Let's talk a little JJ. He is ADP rank number 4 wide receiver, overall number 5. He has seen a dip in his ADP and where he ranks this season, and I'll get into why. We already know, but I'll get into why a little bit further. We're talking his last 3 seasons. He's been absolutely lights out. 108 receptions, 128 receptions, and then, like I said, the injury season with 68 receptions. Still cracked the 1,000-yard mark, 1,074 last year and 5 touchdowns, where he did have his best season, 1,809 in yardage and 8 TDs. Fantasy point totals-wise, he has cracked the 300-yard point total, and you can see that boom consistency rate is very consistent for a JJ. We're seeing a little bit of a dip in the last 2 seasons, being the 70.6% and 70 even last year. Last year's kind of one of those situations where you don't want to put a full meal deal eval and saying this is what JJ was. Dealing with injuries, dealing with the quarterback room and how rotational it was last year, we understand why JJ's stats went down. But if you're taking 2021, 2022, that is the top end for a JJ, and they know that in Minnesota they gave him his bag. He got a boatload of money. But when it comes to this Vikings depth chart, Jordan Addison is my dude. Addy, I love this kid. I think he is a superstar in the making on a secondary piece. Could he ever become the true wide receiver 1 on any offense? It is highly potential. The high potential, I should say, is definitely there for a Jordan Addison. But, in this offense, JJ is the alpha. He is the number 1, and Addison can play a phenomenal secondary role. Brandon Powell, they got rid of a KJ Osborne, and they're saying that Powell could be that 3rd wide receiver, and I don't hate it. Powell's a decent wideout that can make a lot of plays for you, especially in the slot, and being that 3rd wide receiver you're definitely looking for. You got Jackson, Jalen Naylor, Trent Sherfield coming from the Buffalo Bills last year. He will add a little bit of piece. Malik Knowles, I'm still a big fan of Malik Knowles from K-State. I do like his game. I think he's actually, being slept on quite a bit. If he can round out a lot of things in his game, he will be that much better. Jackson, Thomas, James, Jones were 2 rookies on the end. So you see the depth chart here in Minnesota does fade off just a little bit. And this has all indications to suggest this whole thing goes through Justin Jefferson and a Jordan Addison. Everyone else gets the sprinkles. So the volume at least is going to come towards a Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison once again this season. But there is caveats in that as well. Overall, for the 3-year averages, 4 fantasy points. Justin Jefferson, 249.7 with an average boom rate of 76.3. very good numbers overall, and he can be trusted, but he has seen a dip in his wide receiver rank this season, down to wide receiver 4 overall, number 5. Speaking of Ceedee Lamb at wide receiver 1, he has risen to the top. The cream rises to the top, overall number 2, and it is to be expected. Simply put, based on his season last year, he was absolutely phenomenal with Dak Prescott. 181 targets, career high, 135 receptions last season, career high, 1749 in yards, career high, 12 TDs, every single one of them a career high. He was absolutely stellar last year, 335.7 points in fantasy football, half PPR, beat out a Justin Jefferson on his best season of 304.7, if you can believe it, man. 82.4% on that boom rate. Ceedee was booming basically every single week for y'all, and he should once again do it this year. You see the level of progression from a Lamb. He's been relatively healthy. 16 games, 17 games, 17 games. I mean, he's playing hurt at times, but you see he is the epitome right now in his young career of staying on the field and being healthy. 1,102 yards on 79 receptions back in 2021. 107 receptions on 156 targets. 1,300 plus yards in 2022. And then, like I said, the statistics for career high potential and earning was last season with a Dak Prescott. And I'm telling you, man, 50% boom rate in 2021, 70% in 2022 for an average which has dropped his average because it started a little bit slower on the boom in. But I mean, 67.7 overall career high or career average over the 3-year span, with 259 being his point totals over that career span. He still is beating a Justin Jefferson in terms of average point totals, but again, take that with a grain of salt because a Justin Jefferson was playing or was injured and missed a lot of time last season. But Ceedee is definitely on the rise, and he is my dude in terms of this Cowboys depth chart. Okay, they got wide receivers to contend with. We got Brandon Cooks. We got a Jalen Tolbert. Cooks can spread the field. We saw what he was able to do in that secondary role. Pulled a lot of coverage from a Ceedee Lamb, got him more open, and Lamb still saw himself 181 targets. This should be... Is it going to be the standard again this year of 181 targets? That's to be seen. I got to say anywhere from 160 to 180, definitely in the realm for a Ceedee Lamb once again, especially with the lack of overall depth and talent that these Cowboys do have on this depth chart, especially at the wide receiver position, especially at the running back spot. It's going to be a lot of focus on a Ceedee Lamb, no question. Brandon Cooks should still aid in pulling a lot of coverage from that side, as is the third wide receiver. They're moving on from a Michael Gallup. He went to the Las Vegas Raiders, and now you got a Jalen Tolbert, another young guy that I'm super excited about. I was, pretty bullish on him coming out. Not a lot of people talking about him. He's got some skills, got some jump ball appeal, so there is going to be red zone opportunities for a Jalen Tolbert. He is a very good wide receiver. I don't want to say very good. He's a good wide receiver. He's not very good, but he could mold into something very good in the red zone and be that touchdown getter. Ryan Flournoy, rookie, so they're bringing in some rookie talent, hopefully to, stack those cupboards, man, because, we got a lot of people departing from this wide receiver room. The Dallas Cowboys got no money, so they got to go with the youth talent to help, prolong this season to go forward. Jalen Brooks is the fourth. Turpin, he's Mr. Speed. We know this. David Durden, Racy McMath, Jalen Cropper. The list goes on and on for guys you probably never heard of, so they're going to hope that at least one or two or three of these guys can pan out to at least some levels of supportive pieces for a Dak Prescott. If not, we're going to see Ceedee Lamb get 200 targets this season without even blinking an eye. It is going to be an interesting season for these Cowboys. Like I said, as they didn't have a lot of money to spend on the open market, they had to go to the draft, and they're going very much youth movement at this wide receiver. But to see Ceedee Lamb as a wide receiver one is justifiable, because we know Dak Prescott is looking for his contract. Ceedee is looking for his contract, so that's absolutely going to spell a lot of good things. When it comes to team outlook here in 2024, okay, here's the problem. Okay, team dynamic is the biggest situation. Sam Darnold versus Dak Prescott. We're talking Dak all day long. We know this. Could it be J.J. McCarthy? 110% it could be. But at this point, we got to speak on what we know, and Sam Darnold does have the leg up to be the week one starter in this offense. Aaron Jones, running back, we're going to slide that towards the Minnesota Vikings as the better approach rather than Zeke Elliott coming back for sloppy seconds on his second tour with these Dallas Cowboys, giving it to an Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler rather than Zeke Elliott and Rico Dwaddle. Wide receiver, we're going to give the edge to Justin Jefferson. He is the best wide receiver in this league right now. Ceedee Lamb right on his heels, but JJ is the cream of the crop that is, the standard of eliteness in the NFL when it comes to the wide receiver position. Tight end, I got to give it to Ferguson this year over a Hawkinson only because he's dealing with that ACL injury. We're talking 2024 team outlook, man. If it is about, which tight end is better, obviously the arrow ticks towards a Hawkinson, but we'll see what he does this year. Is he going to come back fully healthy, fully recovered from that ACL? Very much a question in my mind. Offensive line, you got to still lean towards those Dallas Cowboys, even though they have seen struggle in the past couple of years. People leaving, obviously, they've had to revamp it quite a bit, but I mean, Minnesota is building their offensive line decently, but I'm going to give the edge because you got guys like Zach Martin still who are the cream of the crop at their position in the NFL. Defensively speaking, you got to lean towards those Dallas Cowboys, and this is good news because they're very much, hungry for turnovers. Will give the offense more opportunities. Will give Ceedee Lamb more opportunities to get the football, so I'm going to lean a little bit here towards those Dallas Cowboys, and I don't think that's a stretch whatsoever. So you see my point when we're talking about somebody like a Justin Jefferson. Who is going to be throwing him the football is the biggest problem that I do have. It's Sam Darnold. Will he have some kind of resurrection to his career to help prolong this offense, help move it along, help JJ continue to be that guy? We know you just got to get the ball in JJ's vicinity and he's going to make the play, but how consistent will that be? We know that Dak Prescott, at least, barring all his mistakes and issues, he still can sling the football to a Ceedee Lamb with high levels of consistency. No more Kirk Cousins on the Minnesota Vikings, so it is going to be very different in Minnesota. I mean, they did it with a Josh Dobbs, so everyone's still saying, well, if Dobbs could do it, so could Darnold. We will see, okay? I'm not going to put it down, but we're talking about who is the best, potential pick this season for point productivity, return on investment. I got to go with Ceedee Lamb this year as my top wide receiver pick, not because of anything other than team dynamic and who's going to be throwing him the football. I am not a big Sam Darnold guy. I mean, if he does great, fantastic, but I am not a big supporter. J.J. McCarthy, still somewhat of a work in progress. If he does win the job, we'll see how that does shake down. They do got Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler to help run the football. So this offense could look a little bit different this season in Minnesota, where the Dallas Cowboys still very much similar offensively, and they should continue down that path. And Ceedee Lamb is definitely the dude that I'm looking for in drafts this year to pick if I got the high-end, top 5 pick in fantasy drafts, because Ceedee Lamb is definitely going to be one of those dudes that's going to return heavy this year in 2024. But there you have it. That is Justin Jefferson versus Ceedee Lamb. You can't go wrong with either one of these gentlemen. We know this, but it's about getting those top end point totals, and I think that Ceedee Lamb is definitely going to continue where he left off last season, and it's going to be all glory. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts. Who you picking, JJ or Ceedee? Throw it in the comments. We can definitely talk it out, but we'll see you next time. I am out.